again, so guys, thank you so much for joining us. We're going to go ahead and get started with our activities for today. What I want to do is introduce myself. I want to introduce my colleagues at other colleges real quick, then I'll pass it off to my president who's with us. So my name is Dr. Kurt Pylan. I'm Director of College Relations and Outreach at Reedley College. As you guys know, if this isn't your first conference, we pass the torch every year, and we have different colleges that host the conference. So again, I'm hosting this year for Reedley College. What I wanted to do is just kind of shout out, my colleagues again at the other colleges and their teams. I want to say thank you guys for all of your help. First off, where's my team at? If you guys can video and wave, I appreciate it. I have Marcy Braggs and Frankie Hedetta on the phone, and let's see. Oh, there she goes. She raised her hand. Thanks, Marcy. And Dulce Guerrero, she's actually going to be new into our department. So Dulce, thank you for joining us this morning. I have my counterpart at Fresno City College is Emily Slater. She's Director of College Relations and Outreach. Emily and her team, can you guys wave? Morning, thank you.
Yeah, we can.
Yeah. Sorry if you haven't had enough coffee yet. I'm with you. She's the Dean of Students, but again, she's our counterpart at Clovis Community College. Gurdeep Abear, can you wave everybody? And your team, please wave and tell us hi. Good morning.
Let's go, Crush. Where are you?
Perfect. Thanks, guys. And then last but not least, of course, we have the team from Madera Oakhurst. We have Leticia Canales. She's the Dean of Students in Madera. If
Good morning, everybody.
you guys, yeah, thanks. All right, so I just wanted to say publicly, I appreciate you guys, and thank you so much for your help with all of this, with preparing and planning and all that good stuff. So I appreciate the collaboration. Okay, so what I want to do next is just pass the mic here to Dr. Jerry Buckley. He's our president at Reedley College. Dr. Buckley, you've been here for, I believe, just over a year, and I bet you did not predict the pandemic. So I know it's been an interesting time for you, but please, thank you for joining us this morning, and go ahead and if you could share a few words with us.
Thanks, Kurt. And yes, for the first year of my tenure here, it seems more like 10, considering all the emergencies that we've been faced with just over the past couple of months, for that matter. So thank you all for the work you've been doing. I think if we put it in that context, think about what all of you have been doing to help work with students and families. That is the work that counselors do. And I just want to remind us all of the impact of the work in the sense that you help students and families make decisions that really determine their life directions. And you inform, mentor, and lead in so many different ways. I refer to it as guiding the dream. And I think that's really important to remember as we look to the future, because Fresno is actually leading the state in many ways. You may have heard of the DRIVE initiative. The State Center Community College District has a lot of good things going on this year, and it will be for the next couple of years as we basically pursue integration of a lot of our pathways with our high school and senior higher ed partners. This is actually being guided by recommendations coming from the Governor's Council on Higher Education. And so we are literally a little cauldron of creativity and innovation right now, and we're actually demonstrating what can be done to the rest of the state. And a lot of it starts with you. The issue really is, how do counselors work together across K-12, community colleges, and our senior partners, as we mentioned before, to create that unified pathway, a single vision for students. No matter where they want to end up, you help them find that goal, find that dream, and pursue it. And we work together to get them there. So I think what I'd like to really lead with for you today is, think of yourselves in the broader context. You're not just working for a K-12 segment or a community college segment, or let's say Fresno State or even UC Merced. It's all of us working together for the same goal. And so learning how to benefit our students more appropriately is very important. I know that even when my daughters were going through high school and getting ready to go to college, there was always a recommendation that students always jump to a 4-year immediately. I think if we think about the economics of that, and you think about the quality, I myself actually stepped from high school into a 4-year institution a year early at USC. And the problem I had was I went from high school classes that were probably 25 students at a time to 35, all the way up to an entry-level biology class of 600. Well, think about the psychological impact for a student who's never experienced that before. You know, community colleges offer that intermediate class range of up to 50 students. And I think if people think about that and the economy of scale, that in many cases they can attend college classes for free and get entire college units put away even during their high school career through dual enrollment. There are so many more opportunities, either through dual enrollment or concurrent enrollment, for students to make advancement towards an advanced degree goal. So I'd like you to have good conversations today, deep conversations about what those opportunities are, and come to a deeper understanding of how we can work together as well. Because what's special about the Central Valley is we all share one vision about trying to help the residents of our communities. And that's why I came here. So I wish you well. I hope you have a great conference today, and I look forward to seeing you soon.
Thank you, Dr. Buckley. I appreciate it. Okay, so what I want to do is I'm going to jump out of here and I want to share the agenda just to provide you guys with some overview basically of what we're doing. We have a few things on the horizon and have some opportunities to dialogue, as Dr. Buckley had mentioned. Again, bear with me. Hopefully you guys can see this and it's within frame. But you did get this as well because everybody's here and I embedded the Zoom link into the agenda, so that worked. So what we're going to do, I have a few housekeeping things that I want to go over. We're going to discuss registration to go and some of the new things that we're discussing as a district related to mobilizing our services remotely, because we're so accustomed to being able to have some physical face time with students out at your school sites that we're adapting, and so we have some things that we want to share there and some things that are coming, and then some district updates. So my colleagues and I will kind of share what the district is up to, what we've done in response to COVID, and then also some of the projects that we've mentioned in the past. Where are we at with those? We're going to have a break, of course, because so you can recharge with coffee and whatever you need to do. We'll have a brief break, and then we want to talk a little bit more about the specifics of what we're doing with Reg to Go now. And so we have a breakout room set up where we want to give you guys some time to discuss how are you communicating and working with your students now, and what are some strategies, best practices maybe that you can share with other schools. So I'm hoping that we have some good dialogue there, and that I'll be able to get some good feedback from you guys. What we're going to do is I have facilitators set up already. So my colleagues and their teams are going to be facilitating and taking notes in each of the sessions. After the session, we're going to come back together. We're going to regroup, and we're going to I'm going to ask for a report out. So I want to hear, what did you guys discuss? And I'll ask you guys to each breakout room to give us one barrier or one strategy. You'll see later. But what I want to do is I want to take those notes from the sessions. I want to compile them into the PowerPoint, and then I want to send the PowerPoint we're using today out to you as well. So you're going to get notes. You're going to get a copy of this PowerPoint afterwards. Okay. And then at the end, we're going to have sessions for each college. And again, this is in your agenda. I'll make sure we get this into the chat as well so you can reference it. But we have 2 rotations, and each college has their own Zoom room that you can go in and you can listen to their presentations, and then ask questions about whatever questions you have. And you can, if you want, you can try to catch all 4 colleges. All of these sessions will be recorded. I'll make sure that you guys get the recordings as well. We have another added session today as well, and I'll mention this in our presentation, but we have some folks here from CCGI today that are going to have a session at 11:30, followed by some Q&A if you guys have questions about the launching of the 3C Apply app through their platform. So we'll have those folks share that. There's going to be a survey. We're going to hopefully have some fun, and that's that. Okay. Guys, any questions that you have during this time, please add them to the chat. My team and the outreach folks at the other colleges will be kind of reviewing the chat. If you have a question at any time, please feel free to add it in. And if we have the answers, we'll definitely share. if we need to find an answer, we'll find that for you. So again, please feel free to utilize the chat feature to ask questions. Okay, so I'm going to go back into the PowerPoint. Let's see. So we did the welcomes already. I've already had the president come in and say his words. And again, we are wanting to do more intentional pathway conversations and opportunities for your students while they're still in high school. So we'll talk more about that. I have a video that I wanted to share. And so we actually are working on a new series of videos with Reedley College. And we have guided pathways. I know you guys have heard about that before, but we have 7 pathways. And one of our pathways is ag and natural resources. And so we're going to be doing, we're going to be doing these type of videos for all of our pathways. So this is the rough cut of our ag and natural resource student journey or student voice video. So I wanted to share this with you guys this morning. So.
Hi, I'm Ethan Smith. I'm from Mechanicsburg, Pennsylvania. Typical teenager, you don't really know where you're going right away, right out of high school and things like that. My older brother eventually came to me and told me about wildland firefighting. So I started doing more research about it and stuff, and I started looking into it, and I was like, oh wow, this is actually very cool, and this is definitely something that I would love to do and enjoy doing for a very long time. I was looking into some opportunities in schools out here and stuff, and I ended up finding the fire program here, and there was a lot of good stuff on it. I came to the conclusion that I wanted to come to Reedley, packed the car full, enough room for me to probably, inclining and sleeping at an angle like this for a couple of days. So that was a little rough. Total, I think I drove like 53 hours.
At the beginning of the year, we try to get to know everybody and kind of see, why we all made our journey here, how far it's been, and he was by far the furthest traveler to get here. And it's pretty cool to see that, the word of the program we have going on here in Wildland Fire is starting to spread.
It's awesome. It's amazing. 16 kids that are just very dedicated. They all work hard, and I love to see them out there. We have a great instructor, Instructor Hernandez. He's fantastic. He knows how to balance education and experience. He knows how to get us in the classroom learning, and then he knows how to put us out in the field and apply it. If I could go out there and have class every single day, I would be out there having class every single day. I'm Ethan Smith, and I am Reedley College.
So I know that was a quick video, but that's just kind of a example. Let me see if I can mute. That's a good song, but we got to mute that. So anyways, that's just an example of a video that we
Jennifer, can you mute yourself, because for some reason we can't do it on our end.
I'm sorry. I don't know.
I don't know what's going on.
It was my husband. It was not me.
like I said, it's a good song. It's just we got to, yeah, if you could mute, that'd be great. Thank you. And I don't know why I was able to mute you. So anyways, guys, that's just an example of a video that we'll be doing to really kind of showcase the programs that we offer within our pathways. And you heard that right. That gentleman came all the way from Pennsylvania to take classes during COVID with us. And he's actually staying in our residence hall. And then he's doing classes. So I thought that was a pretty fun video to share. We're also going to be increasing our presence on our social medias, and that's going to be available on YouTube as we start getting these done. So we'll make sure you check those out. Okay. So next we wanted to go over Reg to Go, and we have 3 areas that we wanted to discuss. We have data, we have our dates, and some tech updates we wanted to share with you. The first thing with the data, and you guys have seen this report before, so I'll be making sure that you guys all get this, and what it is ultimately, I know most of our high schools have all of the students apply for college, and again, it's as either their first option or backup, and then we have the list of enrollment. So this is the list of the all of your students from your 2020 fall, so your 2020 graduating class, and where they're at within the college system. So again, I'll share this out. I was going to drop it in the chat, and I might do it a little bit later, but I'll make sure that you get a copy of this so you can review and see where your students are. And with the CCGI, again, I mentioned they're going to have a session later today. They are again, you guys probably know what they do, but it's a software. It's basically a platform where the students can go in and they can launch their applications to the UC system, to the CSU, and to the community college system, and also FAFSA, and it gives you some reporting and some tracking opportunities on the front end. So it's a really interesting program, and again, they'll be able to share some information with you on that later today if you're interested. Okay, next. We have the dates. Is Gurdeep still here with us?
Yep, sure am. Good morning, everyone. Oh, did you already switch over to the next slide?
Sorry.
Was that on purpose? It's all right.
No, never. Yes, it was.
Yes, it was. I know. Good morning, everyone. Glad you guys are here. This is great. About 130 folks this Friday morning. So glad you are able to take time out. I know it has been extremely busy for us at our campuses, and it was important for us to do this. So what we want to share right here with you quickly are just some important dates. I'm sure that your leads at the schools, at our colleges to your campuses, have already probably shared these. We've already started the admission application. It opened up September 1st, but the next big important deadline is online orientation. So for those of you who have participated in Reg to Go before, please remember that this is the one date that does determine part of the priority registration process. So the sooner your students get this done, the better. I know that our leads at our colleges have set out to do some workshops for this. We've got a lot of online support as well. I know that there also are some videos. We'll probably go into some more detail by each college if necessary, but again, please make sure that you mark this date down and that your students are aware of the importance of this. And then of course, as we head into 2021, we will still be virtual, but you're welcome to start looking at the class schedule starting March 1st. Our deadline for Reg to Go matriculation, April 19th, that's the other really important deadline. So after the student has applied, they've done their online orientation, making sure that the advising has been done as well by April 19th in order to get the best dates for registration. The dates will be assigned on April 21st, priority registration. For all the fully matriculated students starts on the 27th, and there you go. We will also let you know that summer registration will start in April. It's good to see that so many high school seniors, especially this last time, decided to come to our colleges during the summer. We were beyond busy. In fact, it's probably for various reasons as well. But again, it's good for your students to start to at least take a look if they want to at least get a little taste of what college is going to be like, to enroll them during the summer. We've got a variety of courses throughout the district. And of course, open registration starts May 11th. And those are our list of important dates.
Okay, so let me talk about passwords. Hi, everybody. Many of you remember a few years ago, or maybe even longer than that, we used to force a password change as soon as students logged in, and that created a whole host of issues. So we were all excited when we switched to a default password. It made it so much easier for us and for the students to figure out, how to log in if they didn't have that email. But along with that came other security issues, because you can imagine, if you know the default password, which is initials and birth dates, birth dates aren't like a big secret. And so it is easy for people to figure out what, our default password is for our students. And we've had some security issues with that. So really what we had to do was start implementing, forcing a password change, because a good percentage of our students weren't changing their default password. And so we've started to do that with our current students, but that now is, of course, going to affect our new students going forward, the students that have just done their application. So there's some big things that we wanted to make sure that everybody knew. Students will be required to change their default password within 45 days. That's 45 days of their application being processed. So the date that they get that email that says, here's your login information, that's when the clock starts ticking. And so we want to make sure that students know to go in and change their default password. But before they do that, the most important thing is to update their communication preferences. So if you go to a website and you don't remember your email, or you need to change your default password, communication preferences, putting in your phone number, everything you see on the screen there, your cell phone, the email, and the verification process that comes with that, that's what enables students to recover their password, update their password, anything like that on their own without having to call our help desk. And of course, that's really the most important thing, is that students are able to do that on their own. So come December 1st, we're doing orientations with students. Maybe they never went in and changed their password. And so now they are required to change it. If they had enrolled in their communication preferences, they could do that on their own. So that's definitely step number one, is we want students to enroll in or update their communication preferences, however you want to say it, and then update their password. But the most important thing for us is the communication preferences. Now, we realize this creates an issue because, we're out in the schools, we're alongside with you guys, we're doing the application workshops, but all of that has to happen, outside of our workshops. The students need to get the email, they need to go in and do that on their own. So we're really working on, changing our steps, updating our websites. And so we do need your help in really pushing students, once they get that email, click in there, log in. Of course, we want them to start using their portal, start answering their email, things like that. But definitely the first thing is to enroll in the communication preferences, and if possible, also change their password. Let's see, is there any more information for there? They can do their communication preferences when they log in. It's going to pop up, but you can always go into your communication preferences and update those anytime if they change their email or their phone number or that kind of thing. Of course, we always recommend that students write down their password so they remember it later. You guys know how that all goes. But that is a huge message that we need your help getting out to students. Is there another slide?
Thank you, Emily.
I don't
No,
even remember.
no, thank you.
Thank
And
you.
really, just to reiterate what Emily had said, 45 days. So I know some of the high schools, we've already done application workshops, Sanger in particular, Reedley High as well. We've done some with you guys, and there's others, of course. But the students, your guys' students are on the clock already. So, with my folks, they'll be reaching out and working with you to try to encourage students to update their passwords, their communication preference first, of course, and then the password, so that when it's time for them to do the orientation, they can take care of that. We definitely don't want this to hinder any of our students from logging in, but again, we've just as a security measure, it's something that we've implemented, and we've talked as a district. There's really no good time to implement a password change policy, and so we've been working it in with our current students over the past, probably talked about it for a year, but within the past, I'd say 4 months or so, we've been really hitting our current students, and then our our new incoming, our prospective students. It's now, so just kind of keep that in mind. If a student has problems logging in, if it's 45 days out from that first initial application period, that might be the case. And what we're really wanting to do is trying to not flood our help desk with phone calls to help with resetting passwords. So we'd appreciate any help with that. Does anybody have any questions? This format's so weird. I can't see everybody because of the presentation I'm sharing, and I don't see the chat blinking. So I'm just kind of talking to the three people that I see. We're good?
I will say that
Okay.
we do have lots of instructions that are on our various websites. There is an instruction page on how to update your communication preferences. There's one on how to reset your password. Fresno City has a video. I know Clovis has a lot of videos as well on their YouTube channel. So we are doing our best to try and walk students through it. This is the first time they're experiencing this kind of stuff. So there are definitely resources out there, and we can work obviously with your Reg to Go partners to make sure you know how to locate that kind of instruction sheets or web pages or whatever.
Perfect. So the next thing that we wanted to go into are some just district updates again. If you didn't know, we're still in the pandemic. So we wanted to share some of the things that we've done in response to the to COVID-19. And I have a couple of slides here that I wanted to share. And again, my colleagues will jump in as they see fit. But the first thing I wanted to mention was the CARES funding. So all of us actually got CARES funding from the government, from federal government, and those are the numbers that all of our colleges got. And so the more, that's Madera, Oakhurst, Reedley, that's when we were under Reedley College. But all of us were required to give 50% of our allocation directly to students. So it would be basically like a grant or a stipend directly to our students. So the reason that I have the disbursement numbers there is because the Department of Education actually gave us the a criteria for distributing these funds, and they said, or they wanted us to give the funds to financial aid eligible students, and based on the units, the students, every student got something that were financial aid eligible. But you know what, as a district and as a system, community college system, we realized that when you start putting eligibility requirements, you start impacting equity and access. And so all of our dreamers, all of our undocumented students didn't qualify or weren't eligible for this CARES money. So community colleges banded together across the state and they filed a lawsuit against the Department of Education. And that happened in late May. So I know everybody was in the pandemic and it probably happened, and, you know, either you forgot or just, you know, it just happened under the radar for you. But, you know, the system as a whole fought for our DACA, or undocumented students. And so, of course, it went through the process it needed to go through, and the Department of Ed removed that financial aid eligible requirement. So we were fortunate, we were able to actually provide the additional round of allocation disbursement to our students, and the number that you see there for July, I don't know why there's an extra space there on the 413,000, but nonetheless, we were able to provide that to our undocumented students across Madera, Oakhurst, and Reedley. So I thought that was pretty cool. I wanted to share that with you guys. And then again, you see those numbers, and then half of that went directly to students, and then the remainder of that was just really going to help us prepare for you know, transitioning back to the campus, provide, you know, technology and that type of stuff as well. You maybe have noticed in the video, that video when Ethan sat down, that was Lisa McAndrews. She's the residence hall supervisor, and you know, you saw the plexiglass that they had there. So for Reedley, and I know the other colleges are doing the same thing, we're outfitting all of our student touch points with plexiglass and, you know, sanitation stations, that kind of stuff, to prepare for when and if we are allowed to be back on the campus. Also, we all really dedicated ourselves and committed to our students for technology and for food scarcity. You know, a lot of our students experience that, and so we wanted to make sure that we don't skip a beat in that support for our students. And you guys know, the pandemic happened, and it was like mid-March, and you know, everybody was you know, really kind of struggling and really trying to figure it out. How are we going to adapt, and how are we going to respond to the shelter-in-place orders and continue to provide the support and the, you know, the instruction to our students? So just to kind of give you an update on how that worked, is we closed for a week. So starting on March 16th, we closed. Some of our instructors, and this is specifically to Reedley, but I think it can be you know, echoed to the other campuses. Some of our instructors were not, they didn't utilize the online platform prior to this whole pandemic. So there was a big learning curve on technology that that happened. And so within a week, we actually moved most of our classes and all of our student services to online delivery, to remote delivery. We had everybody working from home. We set everybody up with technology. We had phones, soft phones that were connected, and we really tried to, continue to maintain that support for our students. We also did technology distributions or loaning programs, and I have some numbers up there just for your reference. It looks like Madera, they had over 200 laptops and hotspots that they gave out, and then calculators as well that students were utilizing, obviously, for math and science classes. And then some numbers for Clovis, looks like over 350 laptops and tablets and hotspots as well. So we did acknowledge that our
But I
students are.
have Fresno City's, sorry.
Ooh,
I didn't
no,
mean
that's
to
okay.
interrupt you.
No,
I
that's
have
okay.
Fresno City's numbers. We had over 1,300 laptops and over 600 hotspots.
Wow. So that's a lot. And
Getting it out there.
that's right. And you know what I thought was really neat? Clovis had PLC trainers. They have a mechatronics program, and they gave out PLCs. The PLCs I've seen look like old boom boxes. So I don't know how big the PLCs that they've used, but I could imagine it was something that most students don't physically have at home, right?
Right.
So one of the gaps that we noticed is, some of our schools, they provided their seniors with technology, the high schools, or with hotspots. And some of the schools, the students had them already. So from the student perspective, the transition to online was a little bit more manageable because they had the technology. But once school ended, so after the semester or after they graduated, there was a big push to collect that technology, right? And so over the summer, there's a potential for a larger technology gap because the students were borrowing that technology from their high school. And so we did a lot of work over the summer to try to connect with our students. We did mailers, we did phone calls, we did, you name it. We actually, at one of the Madera schools, we gave them flyers to give out at the senior checkout of how to get in contact with us, because we really anticipated there to be a large gap over summer with connecting with our students. And so, and we're still working on, and we still have technology available. All of the campuses have food pantries that are up and running, and we have food distributions. For Reedley, we change it every other week, but usually it's on Wednesdays from 4 to 6 p.m. We have a drive-up food drop-off where students can come with their families, and it's a drive-through. We have it all set up, and we give them a box of food that's been donated, no touch. So they open up their trunks or they drive by at 10 miles an hour and we throw it. Just kidding. But, so we have that still going pretty strong for our students. Also, in preparation for the fall, because we knew that the fall semester was going to be online, combined Reedley, Madera, and Oakhurst, we had 191 instructors that went through our online teacher certificate program. So it was a training program to help the instructors get more comfortable with utilizing Canvas, which is our online platform for classes. So, our faculty stepped up as well to prepare for the fall. Guys, anything else to share there? Bueller?
No, I think that only other. Oh, go ahead. This is tag teaming in, huh?
No, same thing that Kurt said. Lots of training over the summer. I'm really proud of how the faculty responded and got into that training, over the summer when they were off. And also how, all of our food areas, our RAM pantry, they never took a beat. They were constantly doing the drive-by, contactless, just putting food right into so many people, especially what they were dealing with right then. So really proud of how our school responded.
And also, as you know, most recently, a number of our, excuse me, my voice, a number of our students and some staff were also impacted by the Creek fires. So I think each of our colleges have become even better at dealing with some of the various emergencies that have really been unexpected, I guess is the way to put it. So we will continue our efforts. So we want to assure you that as your students come over to us, that emergencies and preparation is at the forefront of what all of us do. And we want you to know that we'll make sure that your students are taken care of. And just to kind of mention, take for example the MiFis. You know, we realized that because Verizon is not one of our main carriers, it's been Sprint and Boost Mobile. We quickly had to get different various orders in because for our outlying students who are in the outlying areas, there's some service that doesn't work. So it's nice that our district was very supportive and said, hey, if you need to get a different carrier for this, let's do it, make it happen. Let's not take a month or two for the red tape. Get those things ordered and out to our students. So it's been difficult, but it's also been rewarding at the same time as well too, to say, you know what, we're here for you.
Also wanted to add for Madera, you know, we've also, as Kurt was mentioning, and like my other colleagues, we've all been you know, working really hard with the technology piece, but also we've been doing a lot of our food distribution boxes and both here at Madera and up in Oakhurst as well. We're still providing on every other Thursday boxes of food donated by the Madera Food Bank. We're also doing flu drop-offs, drive-throughs, because we're going into that next season. And I believe the other campuses, and speaking with the nurses district-wide, it looks like we're all going to be doing the same thing. So we're just trying to help and provide the best services and resources for both our students and get them the needs, you know, get their needs met. Mental health issues, although we don't have a slide on that, we are providing a lot of the virtual telehealth with our psych services and health services. So I wanted to make sure that you can share that with your students as they're thinking about coming to our colleges. Thank you.
Thanks, guys. You know what also I forgot is I know over the summer, Fresno City College was one of the first locations for COVID testing within our area. So Emily, I'm not sure if they're still doing the testing out of the gymnasium, but I know that it was one of the first pop-ups in the area to provide that support to the community. So I think we're definitely on the forefront, as Gurdeep said, with the Creek Fire in particular, but you know, with all the other unexpected things that are occurring, we're definitely involved in trying to help our students adapt and adjust. And you know, we have, like she said, we have some staff and faculty too that have been impacted by everything that's going on as well. So we're definitely, you know, we're definitely emphasizing community this year, if anything. So. All right, so let me jump to the next slide. So next, we wanted to mention a little bit about high school enrichment.
Yeah, so I know that you guys have experienced this, of course, you know, when, especially in the spring when we went online, you know, students had some more time not doing sports and that kind of thing. You know, the idea of doing a college class didn't seem so daunting anymore. So we did see an increase in our high school enrichment applications, which is fantastic. So thank you guys for supporting students with that. You know, of course, we had to make some adjustments for how we're getting the forms turned in and that kind of thing. And we're still, you know, trying to perfect that process. But, you know, for all of our colleges, there are fillable PDF applications that can be submitted by email. We are working on a district form. It's not ready yet. There's been a lot of changes at the state level that will inform how we make those changes. And so we're continuing to work on that. But for now, you do need to submit, you know, your application to the college where you want the student to register to. And we do have web pages for all of our high school enrichment. And I would definitely strongly encourage you to send students to those web pages. We have a lot of students that come to us with, you know, maybe old forms or that kind of thing, or maybe never, you know, even saw the process because all they got was the application. And if you send them to those websites, and it's really just our college websites // I always have problems with that, HSE, It has the contact information, where to send the application to. It will have the most up-to-date, application. We've got videos on ours that will walk them through how to do the online application, waitlist instructions, add drop instructions. So there's a lot of information on those pages that we want the students to see. So as you're working with students, make sure you are referring them to those pages so they get all of the information about high school enrichment. Even in these times, the students still are limited to 2 classes, not to exceed 11 units. So even though they're taking classes, and we're seeing this more now, of course, that they're taking classes maybe at Clovis and at Reedley and that kind of thing. We do watch to make sure, because we are one district, we watch to make sure what they're enrolled in, to make sure they're not taking too big of a load. So we're keeping an eye on that. The other thing, of course, that we want to recommend is have your students turn your packet in early. For spring, I believe we can register as early as November 6th, I believe is the date. But get that packet in early, because especially with the higher volume that we're experiencing with those packets, it's not a super, one day turnaround. We have people review to make sure that they're meeting requirements, that they're not taking too many classes at our other campuses. So we want to make sure that we do our due diligence on that. So of course, to give them the best selection, we tell them get those packets in at least 2 weeks before the class starts. We don't want to have to worry about them doing the add drop process and that kind of thing. So definitely make sure to go over that. We do have high school enrichment people that are available in our breakout sessions. So if you have questions for the campuses specifically, then we can answer those during our college breakout sessions. We're happy to do that. We have a question here. Credit's going to be issued from Madera this semester. No, it's coming from Madera, right, Madera?
That's correct. It's coming from Madera this year, and
official.
The official, yes. In fact, we have Sophia Moreno, that's going to be our liaison with the high schools, and then she'll make sure to triage that to the appropriate offices. Thank you.
So thank you guys. I appreciate it. That's one thing we kind of glossed over. Leticia is it's a big deal in the just north of Fresno. Madera, actually, was it June 20th, July 20th, June 20th?
Actually, I was going to share that in my slide, but yes.
You go ahead now. I mean, I think it's important to share, and go ahead.
Okay, well, in my section, I was going to make a big old announcement that yes, Madera Community College has dropped the center. We are an official. We are now the newest. We're the 116th newest community college in California. Yay! We're so happy. And that actually happened on July 20th. We had a drive-through celebration. We had some shirts. I'm not wearing mine right now, but it's very similar to our new logo, as you can see there. We're just really excited for the city of Madera, for the county of Madera, the Oakhurst area. We're now servicing them as well, and our students who will be coming and earning degrees, certificates, and awards and financial aid, everything that everyone else has been talking about for years. It's been a long time, and we're finally here. We're on the map, and things are changing. We have, like I said, new branding. You'll start seeing some more advertisements. We're going to get our new PIO, marketing communications director, very, very soon. So you'll start seeing a lot of things coming our way and for the community. So we're really excited for our students and our faculty who are creating new programs. So more to come in the other slides, but yes, we're just really excited. Thank you.
Sorry, didn't mean to steal the thunder there, but I think it's important that we share that. And so, yeah, congratulations. The neat part is that the high school seniors that had graduated, that are now at Madera, they're the first inaugural class of Madera Community College. So when they complete their certificates or degrees, it's not going to say Reedley, it's going to say Madera on their diplomas. That's really pretty cool. So congratulations on that, and definitely we'll look forward to seeing the growth that's happening.
So we had a question real quick.
Sure.
Sorry to ruin
That's
your
all right.
segue there. That was a perfect segue. Yes, enrollment for high school enrichment is is 11 units total, but it is 2 classes for all campuses. And they have to wait, and they can turn in their applications early. So they could turn it in before we register them. That gives us time to make sure they've completed all of their steps, that they have their signatures, that they have met all the prerequisites for the class. But you are correct that we cannot register them until open enrollment happens. And I believe for this, I was trying to sort through all my papers here. I believe for the spring, that's November 6th or 9th or 6th. But you can turn it in early, and then we hold on to the application until we are able to register the students. No, for the application this year, you can choose Reedley. I mean, it's Madera, right? Because Madera is up.
Correct. It is on the CC applied, yes.
Yes. Thank you guys for putting questions in the comments. That's really helpful.
Yes, thank you.
Deidre's saying no. We might have had some hiccups with that, but they are their own college. You know, we're still kind of working on some of the, you know, some of the behind the scenes stuff, but hopefully that'll be fixed, Dee, if that's still a problem. So we'll definitely look into that.
It might be for the spring. So maybe I can write that down. We can look into that, Kurt. I know fall for sure is fixed, but we can take a look at the spring. Okay, good to know.
Yeah, thanks for sharing that. So facility updates, you know, we had a couple of bonds that passed several years ago. We've done fundraising and for different buildings across our district. We've had a lot of conversations and committee meetings about you know, the plan moving forward with our different buildings and whatnot. So I wanted to give you guys an update on that. And so let me jump on these slides real quick. So Fresno City has some things going, a lot of things.
Yes, a lot of projects that we have in the works, and some of these you're going to be very excited about. But the West Fresno campus is going to take place of the old CTC that was on Annandale, and they're going to offer academic classes, but they're going to have the classes that were out there moved to the West Fresno campus, which is on Church and Walnut. And I mean, the renderings are amazing. It's going to be a fantastic campus. And of course, there's plenty of room to grow. So we're excited to be in that part of our community. The groundbreaking is on October 8th. So they're actually starting construction, I believe, on the 5th. So this is big deal that's going on for Fresno City right now. Our groundbreaking is going to be live on Facebook and on YouTube. So if you are interested, definitely make sure to tune in for that. It's just been a long time coming. So we are very excited. Of course, the other thing that we can shout for joy is a parking structure. So the parking structure is going really kind of where you parked for the high school counselor conference last year. It's behind the old district office. And it's, I mean, obviously you can see it's going to add a lot of parking spaces for Fresno City, both in the stalls, because this is a multi-level structure, but then some stalls outside of it. So of course, you know, no one ever wants parking to be the barrier of why students aren't coming to college. And, you know, that's always been a struggle for Fresno City. And so we're thrilled that that's going to be happening. The groundbreaking for that is actually going to be coming up at the end of October. I think tentatively for the 20th, but it might be pushed out, who knows. But that is actually like moving. So we're really excited about that. I don't know, Kurt, if you want to start showing my pictures there. This is the first responder campus. So it talks about how the CTC is moving, but we will have a dedicated first responder campus, and that's going to be where the fire and police academies are being relocated, as well as the EMT campus, or EMT program. So that is where we're moving those to, and they are, of course, excited to also have state-of-the-art facilities. So we're excited about that. The next picture should be our math and science building. That is really exciting. That's going to go where basically the police academy is right now, or the what is the word, the warehouse, I don't, anyways, across from Wendy's. That's where that's going to go, and we're pretty excited about that. It's just, you know, obviously Fresno City is an old campus, so we are excited to have these new, facilities for our students so that, we can keep up with, the new technology and that kind of thing and the science. And then that would be the picture of our parking structure. It's so pretty. It's got a big ram on it.
I really
Sorry,
like the,
I'm mesmerized
no,
by that. That's a good looking parking structure.
that's why I wanted to add it,
Long
because
overdue, right?
thanks, Emily. And again, these are artist renderings of the different buildings, which I really like. And if you guys know me, I got Disney issues, so this reminds me of a certain parking structure. And anyway, so thanks. Next, we have Reedley. We have some buildings coming along as well. Right now, that picture I believe is from about 2 weeks ago. But we're getting a new math and science building, and it's going to house our math, science, and engineering, and also some of our CNA classes. It's well underway. It's supposed to be done by the end of the spring semester, which is really exciting. It's kind of where the math and science building is now. We have like we had portables, and so it's kind of along the curve. If you guys have been on the back road of the campus, we have that. And then we just finished a mechanized ag extension. So over by our pavilion, our farm pavilion, we have 2 additional bays for our diesel mechanic program. So we're expanding that, which is really great. They actually are working on a new permanent child development building. I know that they have broken ground on that, but I'm not sure what the completion date is on that, to be honest. And then really probably the most exciting thing is the Center for Fine and Performing Arts. This bond was approved, I would say, I believe 5 years ago, and we had to raise money to match. And so through community and through employee donations, we have raised enough money for that build. And so that's going to be breaking ground, I believe they said in May. But again, that's going to be exciting. That's what my goal is. We rotate these counselor conferences at the hosting privileges. So, if we go through 3 years before it's Reedley's turn again, I want to have our next conference there. So if that happens, then that's a win. But that's going to be, we're going to be cutting out some farmland that we use right across from Redeemer's Church, actually, is where that's going to be housed. And so it's going to be not a full theater stage, but a performing stage, so more vocal performing and presenting stage. And there's going to be a gallery as well adjacent to it. So that's going to be good.
So
Next.
Thank you.
Yep.
So for Clovis Community College, as most of you know, we fully became a college in 2015, and we've had 2 buildings there, and finally it is time for our 3rd one to come on board. This is going to kind of focus on CTE, but it'll definitely have a variety of other programs, especially STEM. That has been huge. Back in 2015, we had about 7,000 students. Now we're busting at the seams at about 14,000. So you can only imagine how difficult it is getting for us to get our students in the 2 buildings that we have. So the goal of this building is hopefully to break ground next year. I am hesitant to put any dates. Ribbon year is up there right now. I'm just going to say the building will arrive soon. And we're looking forward to that. We do actually have another phase that is supposed to start after this. If you come to our session, I've got a little virtual tour that'll, a drone shot that'll kind of show you where the buildings will be located. And that's it for Clovis.
Good plug for the college session too. I like that.
Did you like that? Yeah.
Yeah,
thanks.
yeah, good, yeah.
So yes, you too can come to the Clovis Community College session later this afternoon.
We want you.
Yeah.
But no, that's great, and really it's exciting that we're all seeing a lot of these projects coming to fruition. That I know all of us have been on community activities and events and outreach to try to promote. Yeah, it's going to happen. Finally, it's upon us. So thanks.
Okay, good morning, everyone. Again, I'm Leticia Canales. I'm the Dean of Students for Madera Community College. It's trying to get used to saying that. That's been an exciting thing for everybody. But I wanted to share with you just a few things. One and foremost is that we are growing here in Madera, and I wanted to share that from last year in 2019, actually 2018-19, we had approximately 7,100 student population. That was our enrollment that year. And we have actually increased now to 7,800. So with that, we are really coming, we're running out of space. And our newest project for the bond is our Academic Village 2. This one currently is in a DSA mode right now. Again, like Gurdeep was saying, so we don't know how long that does take, but we're anticipating that we should hear, at least for Madera, hopefully in another 6 to 8 months. And then we'll see when we will start having a closer to a date on when we're going to have a groundbreaking. But our Academic Village 2 will be, actually, if you come to our campus, it's going to be kind of like near that road, I think it's Road 30, and is going to include an expansion of our library, our nursing, engineering, and it will have some computer labs. We are going to also be moving our tutorial support, our learning support in that building as well. It's going to also open up secondary effects, which all usually happens at all our campuses. When you have a new building, other things get moved around. So we're excited that we're having this new addition to our campus. Like I said, we're growing and we're running out of places, right? We did have our cutting ribbon ceremony for the CAT building, which was I don't have a slide on that one, but like I said, that one has manufacturing and our welding program in there. It's a beautiful building. It was one of the first ones as part of the bonds, and we're just really, really excited. Okay, next slide.
So real quick, I was going through this PowerPoint last night, and I have 3 kids, and my 12-year-old was right here, and her favorite color is yellow. And so she saw this picture. There's another one that I forgot to add, but it's kind of a curve of that. She wants to go to Madeira for her. You know, you have a commit. She committed already because of
There
the
you
yellow
go.
building. So
Yeah.
looking forward to seeing that growth, though. I think that's going to be really fun.
Yeah, those pictures were really awesome. So our other building is the Oakhurst Community College Center that's up in the Oakhurst Hills. If you've never been up there, it's a beautiful site. It's right off of Highway 41 up on the hill next to the Madera County Sheriff's hub station. So this is one of the pictures. It is currently going to be renamed actually at the next board meeting on Tuesday. Let me see if I can get real quick what they're proposing. I couldn't put it on there, but just to let you know, oops, I'm gonna move that over. Sorry, I have too many windows open here. Oh no, let me see. So in Zoom world, you have like too many windows, right? Okay, so it is currently our satellite campus, but the proposed name will be Madera Community College at Oakhurst. So we will be dropping off the whole Oakhurst Community College Center. Again, that is a proposed name. It's going to the board on Tuesday, and hopefully that will be the newest at site. I don't think we've ever had something like this, maybe similar to Fresno City, the West Campus, but we're just excited that we're able to provide some services up to the Madera community up there who desperately need a permanent structure. It is again scheduled to be completed for fall of 2022. So we're excited. That's all I have.
Perfect. And again, I think once it's ready, I'd love to rotate the high school counselor conference up to Oakhurst, and really we can showcase that building. And also there's a really neat lake that's right next to it that I would like to go fishing at, but it should be
right. I think right in the middle, you can't see it on this photo, but there is an open area that you'll be able to look out to that pond area or that river, I guess. And then they'll have the museum there. It's going to have a community room. We'll still have some of our programs, but they're going to be a little bit smaller, but it's going to have plenty of parking space. So yeah, definitely we'd love to have you guys up here.
All right, whoops. Okay, so we're a little ahead of schedule, which is never a bad thing in Zoom world. And so we're going to do a break. Since we are a little bit ahead of schedule, we're going to go ahead and do a 15-minute break. So what we'll do is we will reconvene in about, I have 10:04, so let's go 10:20. We'll meet back at 10:20. Thanks, guys. Thank you for hanging with us so far. We're gonna shift gears a little bit right after the break. So again, thanks, and we'll see you shortly. Okay, so we've given you guys some updates. We've given you guys some of the things that we're excited about, you know, with our campuses and some of the things that we're really looking forward to over the next few years. Next part, what I wanted to do is kind of jump back into RTG Reg to Go. I know some of you are new, so I wanted to kind of go through the process because I know we've talked about it, and I do this a lot. I talk about things under the assumption that you know what I'm saying, but you know, common language and jargon and that kind of stuff. So I wanted to circle back and just go through RTG. So again, RTG is the matriculation process that we provide to our high school partners. We go out to the high schools physically before the pandemic, and we have some time with your students, and we talk to them about our representative colleges, and we help them along these steps. So the first thing is applications. Usually application workshops are now, and so I know some of the high schools are already you know, in the application process, and some aren't. So, but you're on the calendar, we'll get that going. And it's usually going to be through a Zoom platform, or we did Google platforms as well. So we're working through that. Orientation, that's an online orientation that goes live, as Gertie mentioned earlier, in December. And so that's really not impacted by pandemic, but that's something that, you know, that is under the traditional calendar. December 1, or that first week in December, is when we start really pushing students to do the orientation. And then advising usually takes place in the spring. Advising is where we physically go out to your campus, and it's usually in a MPR and multiple purpose room, cafeteria, gym, and we see your students. We have them go to the respected college that they want to attend and see a counselor, and really do a lot of planning around their first semester of classes. And then of course there's registration. So you saw the matriculation deadline before. The matric deadline, the students have to have their application done, their orientation, and their advising done before that deadline in order to get a priority registration date. And then the date, it's a 3-day window. They assign registration dates based on the date the orientation is completed. So for example, if it's day 1, day 2, day 3, if you do the orientation right away within the first week, you may get day 1. If the student waits until January or February to do the orientation, they may get day 3, which doesn't sound like a big deal, but if you think about the amount of students that we have registering for classes, it becomes a very big deal because there's not going to be a lot of classes that are available. So that's why we reiterate the importance of doing the orientation early. Okay, and then for registration, again, those 3 days, we have representatives from each of our colleges that head out to your high school and help students with registering. Again, advising is not the same as registering. Some students get that confused. So we help them register for classes, and it could be summer school classes, or it could be fall classes. So we provide that on-campus support. So as you know, with the pandemic, it's a little different now. So what I wanted to do is kind of have my colleagues discuss where we're at in the process with getting some of these services done remotely.
So yeah, you've obviously already started doing application workshops with us, and for Fresno City's end, they're going really well, and we can talk about that more in our college breakouts. Of course, we appreciate those schools that are giving us the instructional time that we're used to. And I think that's going to be really huge part of advising, because we're definitely seeing that, that's been the strength of Reg to Go, to getting those first generation students, or those students that don't know how to seek us out, that making that kind of mandatory, we're all in this together, that's a huge part. So we're definitely seeing that, and we get it in these times, but that's going to be something that we're going to be looking at for advising, is to kind of continue that push to make sure that we get all of the students, instead of having the students, kind of opt in and participate. I get it, because at the end of the day, I would, if I've been on Zoom all day, probably just like right after this conference, I do not want to jump in on another Zoom session. So we get it. So those are things we're going to be discussing with you as we prepare for advising. But really encouraged of what we're seeing with the application workshops and how it's all running. These are things that we would love to talk to you about in this next breakout activity that we're going to be doing, because already we're seeing, you know, things that are working, things that aren't, and I'm so happy that application workshops came first, because that will advise a lot of the process, you know, that we do going forward. Kurt talked about, oh, sorry, one more thing with the application. You know, if students do miss their application workshop at their school, I just want to throw out Fresno City does do daily Zoom application workshops at 4 o'clock. And we can show you in our breakout session where to find those. And any student is welcome, because we can walk them through the application for all of our schools. But that is an opportunity for your students in case they did miss their school application workshop and they still want someone to walk them through, you know, how to do it. Or maybe they just have some questions, send them our way and we can help them out. And I know our other colleges are going to be throwing that out as well. Orientation, of course, opens December 1st. It's always going to be the first business day in December. And so we will obviously be working with all of our feeder schools to discuss what our plans are for offering orientation support. Orientation, just like the application, is something you can do online. So we would be working with our different school partners to figure out, you know, how we're going to be offering that to students. It's a little easier, obviously, than the application. So a lot of students may elect to do it on their own. So that's something that we'll be working with you on. And again, we look forward to you know, partnering with you and kind of keep going through, you know, this situation that we're in. Thank you, Deirdre. How do you access that 4 o'clock support? If you go to fresnocitycollege.edu/RTG steps, we have it right at the top, live application workshop daily at 4 o'clock. And you can always, I can always shoot you, you know, an email as well. So that is available for any State Center student. Thanks for the question.
And advising obviously is going to be probably the one step for matriculation that is going to be probably the most challenging, because normally, of course, we would be at your sites. However, because we are virtual, there are some things that went well during the end of last RTG cycle. It wasn't that way for all of our schools, but one of the things that we've been trying to do is make it as seamless as possible, but also make it where it's district-wide, somewhat of the same process. I mean, although you're going to see some changes or some differences, I'm sorry, with each campus, but the main thing I think that we did decide on for sure is that we're going to have each senior who's coming in do an intake form. So that intake form will give us a fresher information about what the student is currently thinking. So for example, let's say the application workshop took place right now, right this month. Well, when we're back on your campus or back virtually with advising starting at the end of January, they may have decided to change their major. They may have decided decided on doing something different with so much going on. I can totally understand that. So that intake form that each senior will complete, and it'll be done easily online. That will provide us information that normally we would probably also take off of the transcript, but it gives the student an opportunity to say, this is kind of where I am right now and what I would like to do. And I think that's really something that we felt was important because we don't want to go off of exactly what was just put in at this moment. And things are going to change, and we have learned a whole lot about flexibility and being fluid to kind of go with the flow, as we say. So that will be a big component. We do have dates selected to do advising, and our goal is to stick to those dates. And again, we'll share those once we've solidified all the dates, because some of our schools are still double checking those dates. Obviously, you heard Reedley has a better handle on what they're doing with guided pathways, so that'll look different. But again, come to the college sessions, because I think those will give you a better opportunity. I know for Clovis, one of the things that we always did with advising is, even if we haven't been able to go out to a lot of the the schools during the application orientation time, which is what we all experience. When it was time for advising, we always sent someone out to literally every single school. And we're not going to be able to do that this time. However, we can virtually. So look for all of our campuses to be available during the dates. We will get those out to you. Advising will look a little different, but the good thing is we're mostly all available no matter what, virtually. So that will be an easier process as well. And thank you, Isaac, for putting up the Clovis Community College Welcome Center YouTube channel. And there's a lot of how-to videos available for students, similar to what our counterparts have as well. And that's advising. Registration.
Well, and as we kind of mentioned, registration, we kind of experienced this remotely with the pandemic. I know it was tricky for us, partly because of what I had mentioned. We were at a point where some of our students were having to give back their technology that they had utilized during high school. So we're going to continue to have conversations amongst the colleges just to collaborate and strategize how we can best support your students with registering for summer and for fall classes. So more information to come about that. I think this whole pandemic has forced us to really think outside of the box on how we interface with students, not only through the Reg2Go process, but our current students. And so we're looking forward to, getting some processes in place that we can sustain beyond the pandemic to best serve students. So segue, we're going to do a breakout session. And if you guys don't remember because of the pandemic, this is called Duck Duck Goose. Anyways, we're not going to be able to do a physical activity, but nonetheless, we want to hear from you. So you guys have experienced the pandemic. You have experienced the turning on a dime to try to continue to support your students remotely, like we all did back in March. And you've experienced summer and, the time to breathe a little bit and to readdress students in the fall. And you are experiencing the probability of the lower grades going back to campus. What does that look like for high schools? I know that's on the horizon. So we're all kind of in the trenches here. So for the breakout session, what I want you guys to do is to have a conversation with each other, share practices, share what you've done at your school to connect with your students. What's worked, what hasn't worked, what are some things that you want to try out? How are you, how are you engaging with your students? And so I have pre-assigned breakout rooms. Again, I'm going to have to do some shuffling once we start this, but the prompt is really what I just said is, we're all in this together. We're all kind of in the weeds as far as the pandemic. And so, and it's forced us to get creative on the things that we do. We have various presentations like Gurdeep had mentioned. We have videos we've created to just help inform students, on how to access and utilize our technology and our services. And so, which was all great, I know Fresno City College has just remodeled their Apply Now page, and we're looking at following them in that process as well, just to make it easier, because when our primary our primary way of communicating with students is electronically and through our website, we're looking more at our website content and trying to make it a lot more user friendly. So, we're doing the best that we can. So again, in the breakout sessions, I have facilitators set up and I have note takers set up. There's 3 questions we would love for you guys to talk about. We have about 30 minutes to go through and have the conversations. What are some barriers that you overcame to communicate with your students or connect with them? So list 5, if there's some 5 common barriers that maybe you guys have experienced. What strategies, what did you guys use to connect with your schools or with your students? I was told that one of the high schools started sending out Outlook calendar invites to students, and it seemed to work. So again, what type of outside of the box thinking have you guys done at your school? And then how can we utilize those strategies to help support the students through the RTG process and through the transition or the onboarding process into the college. So that's kind of what the basis is for the breakout sessions. Okay, so I'm going to get you guys into breakouts. Again, about 30 minutes to have a conversation around those. The note takers, please take notes. When we come back, I'll have the facilitators kind of share out what the conversation was, and I'll have the note takers actually bring or email me the notes. What I want to do is I want to compile all of the breakout sessions content. I want to add them to the slide deck and then send all of this out to you guys after that's been done. Sound good?
Or what time are we coming back?
It's going to be 30 minutes, so we're looking at
11:10.
11:10, correct. All right, so let me get breakouts going. Okay, so breakouts are sent. I'm going to start assigning people.
Kurt, I think I'm supposed to be in breakout 3.
Rose, did you not get the invite to Breakout 3?
No, I got the invite to Breakout 5.
How about now?
Yes.
So all of you should have received a breakout request. I'm double checking here. Those of you that are still in this room, are you not seeing the kick to the breakout room, or did you just want to stay in this room? If you guys are working on other things, that's completely fine. Just wanted to make sure you had the opportunity to.
Yeah, no, I didn't get one.
Huh.
It went out, it phased out, but then it didn't.
I'll see if I can move you to another room real quick. One sec, because I have you in room 6.
Okay.
Did that give you the? So,
Not seeing anything.
so it should have gave you the option for room 5.
Hmm.
That's something that's hard to replicate in a virtual environment, is the physical connection and the dialogue and the rapport that we have as colleagues and, you know, down to our students. So I think any opportunities that we have to just connect and talk are good. So again, thank you. What I want to do next is just do a quick report out. And we'll just start with group 1. I should have made you guys do a team name, dang it. But if whoever was in, David, I believe that was your group, if you can just share Briefly, where was the conversation? But what was one of those barriers that your group shared that stuck out to you that they were able to overcome?
A lot of it's the biggest barrier was one of the biggest or was the most talked about, and that was just the technology piece of how reaching out to students. And there were some great suggestions about uh, our counselor from um, right here, I know it's a charter school right here in Sanger. Anyways, Silverio was talking about how he wants to be a part of all of the meetings that teachers have. And Jenny was talking about too. So big thing, calendar invites, and sending those out to students. I think Andrea said they send those out too through Microsoft Teams there for Fresno Unified. But really it was just sending the technology piece, but there's also a divide even within the city of Fresno. So that was a big thing. But it was just talking about Ring Central or using Calendly for reaching out to students. And Ring Central is a text messaging service. The other thing that we talked about is creating, and I felt that was towards the end, was making our communications from our district universal, because students are getting confused about, okay, everything's about Fresno City or everything's about Clovis, Reedley, but having something universal there so that students don't get confused and they all get the same message at the same time. So anyone from my group want to jump in and add one or two more things or correct me, but that's about it.
Thanks, David. I appreciate that, and definitely good ideas. And I wrote down Ring Central so that we can maybe look into that as an option for us to communicate. How about Breakout Room 2? What do you guys got? I believe that's Isaac, right?
Hey there, Isaac Marina, Breakout Group number 2. We talked about some things beyond the technology piece, and that's the student. We're in a digital world, and students are lacking connection, and so there's mental health involved in the holistic student. And how do we, one, help those students in a virtual platform? And two, students are just not showing up to their Zoom sessions. And so how does one connect with the student, their families, and families from all different backgrounds? So simply stated, I don't want to take up too much time, but the two things was mental health and students not showing up for a plethora of reasons. And I know in the next question, we can talk more about that, but I'm just gonna do that there. Thank you.
Thanks, sir. So that's important, I think we're experiencing this together, but we're all kind of experiencing it a little differently. And so it's important for us to be mindful of that and support our students, beyond just the matriculation stuff, right? But support them and just coping with this transition, dealing with this transition. Thanks. How about Breakout Room 3?
I think we were Breakout Room 3. So some of the barriers, they're going to be very similar across the board, was communicating with the students. Using email. Email seemed to be working at the beginning, but now it's kind of, students maybe aren't checking those emails as regularly or responding to them. And we talked about how the emails have kind of got watered down, or students don't know how to filter what's important and what's not. And we experienced that at the college level as well. Internet connection was another barrier for some of the areas that we had, like the rural areas. So what they've done is needing to get, these students the hotspots and the MiFis, but simply the area not having good connection as well, right? So with towers and things like that, being a barrier that they don't have control over. Lack of involvement, students just not showing up. So either not showing up to school or not showing up to their Zoom sessions. Some of these things just worry me, because you worry, like, what is happening to that student? Like, are they okay? Are they not? Are they, what is happening at home with those students? And then some of the strategies that they've used are like Google Classroom as a form of posting information, having like one centralized location. Remind, the schools are using Remind. There was another one, oh gosh, Rose, you might have to come in.
That was Parent Square, Student Square.
Yeah, Parent Square, Student Square. So I'm not familiar with that one, but that's nice, because both, parents and students can have some of that same communication on one end, and then if it's college stuff, then that would just go to the student. But that was one way they were working with it. And then teachers just or counselors just going into the classroom, like the instruction time, because they know the kids are there. So that partnership with the high school counselors and those instructors at the schools are so important, because when they have that good relationship, they have the ability to go into that. And that's like what we're missing right now at the college level, is we don't have that. So keep that up for what you're doing there. And then one of the other, like how we could implement that into RTG, I think that, and I'm sorry if I'm taking too long, so just cut me off if I am, but is our jobs as outreach specialists, they're being redefined, right? Like, we know our job, we can do our job, but we're also having to do things differently. So this is not about just, let's do application workshops. We are trying to teach them how to use the technology that we're forcing them to use. We are having to show them those things. We're having to prep them in a way, and we're having to really put that independence, like, kind of back on them. And the counselors at the high schools are having to do the same thing. So one of the strategies that some of the alternative ed counselors are using is they're bringing their students together before they come to something for Fresno City, and they're going over, like, this is what's going to happen. So they're prepping them because they have that relationship and they trust their counselors there at the school, so that they know what to expect when they come to see us. It also kind of, and we've been doing this like with our website, COVID like identified all of the holes and the gaps that we have in our system. And so we ended it on a positive note by saying, like, the silver lining of all this is that we know that the things we said we couldn't do before, we can do. So we will never be able to say we can't do that again, because we did it, and we did it very quickly. And I feel like we're doing the best job that we can. So we've done it great. So the counselors have been prepping their students that way, just so that they know, because students don't know what to ask when they come into our sessions. So hopefully I didn't miss anything.
I'm just kidding. No, Andre, you bring up a lot of great points, so I appreciate that. And like you said, we are our roles. We know our baseline job descriptions, but we are evolving in how we approach it and how we connect with students and how we better prepare them for college. So I appreciate that. Breakout room 4, I believe that was Sophia's breakout room. What do you guys have?
So one barrier that stuck out, because it applies to our college students as well, is the wrong contact information. So there are counselors that are trying to reach out to their students. They want to make those personal calls, and the numbers in their system are wrong, or the address is wrong for those schools that would actually go out and meet with their students. So that is a huge barrier if you're trying to get a hold of students and the information you have is incorrect. So I believe it was Orange Cove. They've put a form in their Google Classroom where the student can put their updated contact information. What Orange Cove is also doing is, once they have those numbers, they're reaching out to the student and the parent, but more reaching out to the student specifically to see what's going on, like, why did you miss class? Of course, the counselor there said they want the parent involved, but it's more reaching that student. So this brought me to the intake form that we're going to send out. I don't know what that intake form will say, but we need to include something with updated contact information, because if it's an issue, we need to make sure that we have whatever number they have that week, that we have that number, so that way we can get, or whatever email, whatever it is, that we have that information. So that way we know these emails, these phone calls, they're not going nowhere, like they're reaching somewhere, they're landing somewhere. So again, that was a huge barrier, because again, we see it with our students at the college level, not having updated contact information.
Great point. Thank you for sharing. And like Emily said, it's a great idea. Better, easier ways to connect or get that updated information from them. Breakout 5, I believe that was Emily's group. Yeah? Or you guys?
I
Yeah.
hate going towards the end because
like,
everybody gets, I know, right? Texting. Yes, we definitely talked about that. We had a lot of really good tidbits, so I'm glad that we took notes, and we're going to be able to share those, because all of them are really good ideas. But I will say one of the big takeaways that I got was it's just interesting how you guys are trying so many different things. So saying like Zoom didn't work, so now we're sending out videos, and I was having a hard time with email, so then we're really starting to text, and then we figured out what the best time to text was late afternoon and even after dinner. So kudos to the transition specialists that are doing that. Um, um, Talking about having that partnership with the senior so that they can actually get into their instructional classes. Fresno Unified uses teams, and so talking about getting into those teams and really being able to, you know, get a little bit of time to make those announcements, parent town halls, basically just trying so many different avenues to communicate with people right now. And so I thought they were all just really good tidbits that we got from our partners.
Thank you. Thank you for sharing. And lastly, group breakout room 6.
Yeah, so a couple things that we people have mentioned, most of them already. One that I haven't heard mentioned yet was firewall issues. So depending on the school district, sometimes emails that are being sent from the college don't get through to the students. So that's been an issue for some. Internet connection, definitely, like Andrea mentioned, for those rural schools, so much so that Erosi actually added antennas to, I think, 2 of their schools, and they actually are providing their own Wi-Fi now for their students within a 7-mile radius of their those towers or antennas. So obviously some issues apply to some more than others, just depending on, you know, where they live. And then some strategies, one of them mentioned that they made sure to have a meeting with their staff beforehand so that they're all familiar with the technology that's being used. And I can say that that is huge, you know, simply because if one person only knows how to share their screen or send students to breakout rooms, and then that person doesn't make it, you know, it really can mess up the plans that they had for that particular day and whatever presentations they were going to go. So making sure that everyone has, you know, is somewhat sufficient or knowledgeable of the technology or the platform being used definitely makes a difference. And then something that they can use for during the RTG process, Sanger is actually using Canvas with their students. So, you know, getting your students familiar with not only whatever platforms you're using at the high school, but any platforms that we may be using at the college level right now is going to be a huge benefit to those students when they get into the college next year.
So that was probably our biggest takeaway. I must say that, did I not say our group was just like awesome? Okay, all right, I'll stop with that. But they really were. So that Canvas piece, that's not just something that is utilized within the community college system, and not all community college, but we do as far as state center. But I know that CSUs and UCs also utilize that. So if high school students are starting to use a platform that they will use later on in college, it's going to make them much more successful, especially that first semester, because during that first semester is where we lose students when they are not familiar with staying on task with their work. And basically what Canvas is that platform. Professors will load up the assignments, you'll keep track of your assignments, you'll see what discussion boards are taking place, everything pretty much sits inside of that. So great job, Singer, for doing that. And yes, if you can't get Wi-Fi, doggone it, put up your own antenna. So way to go, Rosie.
Yeah, I wanted to also just plug in just some information for those who may be at a much higher level with your districts. That may be something that I think our college, our high school partners really need to have those serious discussions with our district, because Canvas is really, for this Central Valley, the tool that all of our colleges, even outside of our service area. So it may be something that at least the Central Valley, hopefully we could, you know, push that and make that recommendation, and talk to your administration folks as well.
And kind of echo that, we're working on a grant right now to be able to provide more support for that technology integration into the high schools. So I think that's a good, great point that Gurdeep made about just the onboarding. Instead of onboarding happening only during their RTG process, it happens earlier when they get exposed to the college through high school enrichment or through dual enrollment opportunities. So I think it would be really a good idea, a good thing.